Let's study 10th standard ICSE physics, chapter 4D, total internal reflection.
Imagine light traveling from a denser medium into a rarer medium. So this is denser, let's say glass. This is rarer, let's say air. This is the incident ray. How will it bend? Towards or away from the normal? Away from the normal. Here the angle of refraction is clearly greater than the angle of incidence. Let me increase the angle of incidence. What happens to the angle of refraction? It increases as well. More the angle of incidence, more is the angle of refraction. Now there will come a stage when the angle of incidence is such that the refracted ray moves along the boundary of separation of the two media. Such an angle of incidence is called critical angle. When the angle of incidence is equal to the critical angle, it refracts along the boundary separating the two media. That means the angle of refraction is 90 degrees. This happens only when the light is moving from denser to rarer. If we increase the angle of incidence even further, then reflection will take place. Obviously, the angle of refraction cannot increase any further. Now, if we keep on increasing the angle of incidence, no refraction can take place. Total internal reflection will take place. What is shocking about this is glass and this is air. Both are transparent media. There is no mirror in between. And yet, total internal reflection took place. See, internal reflection always takes place. Even here, when the ray of light was getting refracted, let's say 4% of it was getting reflected, which we ignored hitherto. But now we see that it's getting reflected totally, 100%. What is special about this is, if this was a mirror, then too, the reflection of light would not have been 100%. Some of it would have been refracted inside this thickness of the mirror, or would have been absorbed by this mirror. So the image formed by total internal reflection is sharper than that of a mirror. Another advantage of total internal reflection is that mirrors can lose their silvering with time, so the images will become dull if you use an old mirror. But with total internal reflection, you will never get a dull image. This figure is double-ticked. It shows reflected and refracted rays both from denser to rarer. Of course, reflected rays very less. Then what happens when the angle of incidence is equal to critical angle? The refracted rays along the boundary. The reflected rays again not very significant, although this percentage of light reflected will be now greater than what happened here. And finally, 100% of the light ray is reflected. The refractive index of air with respect to glass. Please understand that here the second medium is air and the first medium is glass. So air with respect to glass is sine of the critical angle, which is the angle of incidence, and sine of the angle of refraction, which is sine 90. But that is 1. So we get the refractive index of air with respect to glass is sine of critical angle for the given pair of media. By the way, for glass it is 42 degrees for glass and air. But if I want to write refractive index of glass with respect to air, there will be the reciprocal, that is 1 upon sine of critical angle. Critical angle for glass with respect to air is 42 degrees. The factors affecting critical angle, only 2 this time. Color of light, yes, the critical angle for violet is the least. Now that's something different here. The critical angle for violet is the least and the critical angle for red is maximum. Critical angle, as you can see, kind of a reciprocal of the refractive index. Also depends on the temperature of the object, because when you change the temperature, the refractive index also changes. More the temperature, more will be the critical angle. Now there are 2 conditions to be satisfied for total internal reflection to take place. First of all, light must travel from denser to rarer medium, and the angle of incidence must be greater than the critical angle. Now this is a combination of the previous diagrams which you've already studied. Less than critical angle, exactly equal to critical angle, and more than critical angle. Now this phenomenon can be used in prisms. Let's take a periscope. Suppose it is used in a submarine. A periscope is used to view objects above the sea level, outside the sea. although the submarine cannot come outside to be hidden from the enemy's view. So one way to do this would be to use mirrors. So we'll use one mirror here and one mirror here, so that any ray of light will just bounce and enter the observer's eye. But as I said, mirrors have a disadvantage. It's not very bright image, and the silvering may fade with time. So what if we use prisms? The prisms, glass prisms, can also reflect similarly, but this time there's no silvering here, it's total internal reflection which is happening. But glass is transparent, then how can it reflect? Well, let's study that. We'll be studying three types of prisms: 45, 90, 45, 60, 60, 60, that's equilateral, and 30, 90, 60, which is called right-angled prism. And 45, 90, 45 was right-angled isosceles prism, or total reflecting prism. We have to learn all these diagrams which are double-ticked. Total reflecting prism. It's an isosceles prism. This is 90, this is 45. Now if we position the prism like this, then the ray of light incident on this reflecting surface AC, the angle of incidence is 45, which can easily be proven using geometry. If this is 45 and this is 90, then angle sum property, this is 45. If this is 45, then this is also 45. That's greater than 42. And 42 is a critical angle. So what happens when the angle of incidence is greater than 42 degrees? And it's trying to move from glass to air. Will it be allowed to move into the air? No. No refraction will happen. If this was less than 42, it would have just bent towards the base, down like this. But it won't come out of the prism. Rather, it will get totally reflected. Now at point Q here and at this point here, which is not labeled, no reflection or refraction happens. It just passes straight through it, because the angle of incidence here and here is 0 degrees. And always in all diagrams, two rays are compulsory. Make sure they are parallel here and here. Arrows are important. Just draw exactly the way it is here. So you can see that the ray has been deviated by 90 degrees. It was moving towards the east and now it is moving towards the south. So that's a deviation of 90 degrees. So such a question can be asked. Draw a diagram to deviate a ray of light for 90 degrees using a prism. So you should know which prism to draw for what type of deviation. What if you want to deviate the ray of light through 180 degrees? By the way, the previous one is used in periscopes. I already showed you the diagram of a periscope and how it is used. Now here, let's start with the object. Let's focus only on the black ray of light. At surface AC now, no reflection or refraction will happen. It just goes straight. At surface AB, total internal reflection will take place because the angle of incidence is 45, which is greater than the critical angle of 42. Again here, angle of incidence is 45, which is greater than 42. So again reflection will happen. So twice reflection has happened. And again it will pass out without any deviation. So the total deviation is 180 degrees. A U-turn has been made. That is why the object and the image are here. Note the arrows. And of course, when you draw, you have to draw two rays. So even the blue ray has to be drawn. Now where is this used? Well, this is used in binoculars and camera to invert the image without the loss of intensity. Invert the image, because you see in a camera there may be a convex lens which creates an inverted image. What if you want to invert that inverted image? So that's where this can be used. Note the object and image will be on the same side. And in the next case, this is called an erecting prism, because in this position of the prism, the object which is inverted becomes erect. And note how they are in opposite sides of the prism, whereas here they were on the same side. So this will be used in slide projectors. So let's focus on the black line here. A ray of light is parallel to the base. Here it's moving from air to glass. Remember that air to glass reflection can never happen. I mean total internal reflection. So it'll just move towards the base. Here there will be reflection happening, because here the angle of incidence will definitely be more than 42 degrees. And then again here the angle of incidence is less than the critical angle, so it will just move away from the normal. Away from the normal. Now note that this black line and this black line should be parallel to each other, and ditto for blue and blue. Even inside these two lines and these two lines should be parallel. Note how the black and blue lines are in a straight line here, and the blue and black lines are in a straight line here. So keep that in mind while drawing. This is an erecting prism, because an inverted object has given us an erect image on the other side. So these are the three diagrams with the 45, 45, 90 prism. Now let's talk about the equilateral prism. Now in an equilateral prism, all angles are 60 degrees. What if a ray of light is incident perpendicular to one of the faces? What happens? At that face, nothing happens. It just goes straight. And then when it hits the other face, let's calculate the angle of incidence. So here you see, if this is 60 and this is 90, then angle sum property, this is 30. The total angle was 90, out of which this is 30. So by subtraction, we get this as 60. And so we can say the angle of incidence is 60. So the angle of reflection will also be 60. Clearly, this is greater than a critical angle, so reflection will take place. And here again, it will be 90. Has to be. If you calculate it using geometry, you will agree that this is 90. So here, no refraction takes place. It just goes down. All these angles have to be written. All the arrows have to be drawn. So how much is the deviation? Well, this was the initial direction going southeast. And now it is going south. So what is the angle between southeast to south? That is from this arrow to this one. How much is this much angle? Well, this, if you calculate, is 60 degrees. Because here we have angles on a straight line. If this is 60, this is 60, then this has to be 60. Only then will the angles on a straight line will be 180. So the angle of deviation is 60 degrees. So if they ask you to draw deviation through 60 degrees by an equilateral prism, you know which diagram to draw. A 30, 90, 60 prism. So for equilateral prism, we just had one diagram. For 30, 60, 90, case 1. Here, the ray of light is incident to the face, which is opposite to 30 degrees. So initially, no refraction, no deviation. At the hypotenuse, the angle of incidence is 60 degrees here. If you calculate this, this is 60, this is 90, so this will be 30, if this is 30, this is 60. So greater than the critical angle, so obviously reflection will happen. And when you draw the reflected ray, keep in mind that the angle of incidence should look equal to the angle of reflection. When it hits side AB, now the angle of incidence will be less than 42 degrees. It will just undergo refraction. Note how it is not bending towards the base here, because the incident ray is moving upwards. So just keep in mind it has to move away from the normal. This is normal, so it will move away from the normal. That's why it's moving like this. So what is the total deviation here? The deviation is less than 60 degrees, because this is the initial direction of the ray. This is the final direction. So how much is this angle? This angle looks less than 60 degrees. A couple of cases in which no total internal reflection takes place. That is, what if the ray of light is incident on the face opposite to 60 degrees? Or what if it is incident on the hypotenuse? In this case, no total internal reflection is taking place, just refraction, and even here refraction. In fact, we have seen these diagrams in the solved examples of a previous exercise. But there is an exception to this as well. What if incident on the hypotenuse such that it falls on the base after passing through the hypotenuse? If it was falling above this foot of the perpendicular here, somewhere here, then just refraction would have taken place. But the moment the incident ray is below point D, then it will be falling on the base. Here, the angle of incidence is greater than 42 degrees, that is 60 degrees here. So reflection would take place, and then again refraction would take place. So in 30, 60, 90, there is just one diagram, just like equilateral diagram. There are two more diagrams which you have to draw, wherein there will be no total internal reflection, but we have to learn the exceptional case also. So in these two cases, total internal reflection takes place in 30, 60, 90 prism. I already told you the advantages of total internal reflection with respect to that of a plane mirror. We'll learn this difference table. Now let's understand some consequences of total internal reflection. Consequence number 1 is mirage. Mirage is an optical illusion which is usually seen in a hot desert. Suppose you are sitting on a camel. Now I don't know how the camel got its hump or how the monkey lost its rump, but I can explain how mirage takes place. This ray of light from any object like a tree, when it moves through various layers of air, here it is moving from a denser to a rarer layer of air. You see, the layers of air closest to the Earth's surface is the hottest because of conduction, and so its density is less. This is slightly cooler, so density is more. So even optical density is more here. So it moves from denser to rarer, it moves away from the normal. And it keeps moving away from normal, keeps bending, refraction takes place at various layers, till the time the angle of incidence now is greater. So what happens? Total internal reflection. This is interesting because reflection is happening in air. in the middle of air, light just changed its course and then it finally starts moving toward the normal and it enters your eye. And you perceive the ray of light coming from here. So you are seeing an image of that object, image of the tree, and you feel that there is water out here. Because why then will you see an image? We see an image either because there is a mirror or there is a puddle or water. So it gives you an illusion that there is water, and this illusion is called mirage. Of course, when you come closer, you realize there is no water. Now, what about an empty test tube placed in water in a beaker with mouth outside the water? Why does it shine like a mirror? Well, that's because when light travels from glass to water, if the angle of incidence is greater than the critical angle, then the total internal reflection will take place. A piece of diamond sparkles when viewed from certain directions. So, a diamond is cut in a special shape. It's a very complex science. I'm drawing a very simple one. But the angles are actually measured while it is being cut, so that maximum total internal reflection takes place and light emerges out from all the faces of the diamond. So no matter from which angle you view it, it will always sparkle, and that is the quality of a diamond, a cut diamond. Even yours will sparkle in each and every field you choose.
Hi students, this is AJ sir. If you like this video, press the like button. If you would like to enroll for my online test series or online lectures, email me or message me on Instagram. Check the description for more information.